Begin tonight with the latest on the Grand Rapids Drive basketball player who collapsed on the court last night. Reported now to be in critical condition. Here is what we know tonight. Upshaw's mother tells us that he is under the care of the best physicians at Spectrum Butterworth Hospital in downtown Grand Rapids. She says the next 24 hours, she's being told, are critical for her son. The 26-year-old player collapsed last night with less than a minute left in the game. Staff and paramedics rushed in and he was taken to the hospital. Our sources tell us Upshaw went into cardiac arrest, and those caring for him are very concerned about whether or not he'll survive. Earlier today, social media rumors surfaced as G League players began to tweet that Upshaw had died. The Drive basketball team has gone on record saying that those rumors were false. Here with us to talk more about that, someone who saw this when it happened, WBBL radio show host, Grand Rapids Drive announcer Eric Zane. Take us there to the court yesterday. What happened?
My eyes were away from the play, or we're actually following the ball, Leon. And then the next thing I see is I look over and I see Zeke face down, not moving. Everybody in that building instantly was, this just doesn't look like any other ankle twist or something like that, because he just wasn't moving. What was stunning was how rapidly the medical crew, the Drive staff, the EMTs were out onto the court. I mean, it was almost immediately after the whistles blew. And it was quiet and scary, and no one knew how to react. It was unbelievable.
And to have this happen right when this is such a momentous time for the team, they're making it to the playoffs for the very first time in their 4-year history. How did that juxtapose with this moment?
It made it even more surreal because the boys still had to finish the game, which they did and won, but everybody's mind was on Zeke. And we didn't know anything at the time, and we still don't know a whole heck of a lot. I just can't stress enough. Pray, pray, pray. I don't know. I mean, I know I believe it, so please pray for Zeke.
You've got a relationship with this team. How did it hit you personally?
It just so happens that yesterday was the day that I got there extra early to just watch them warm up, and one of the things I noticed was just how meticulous they work to make sure that they're prepared, and I appreciated it. And Zeke always has a smile. He always talks to fans. He's a very sweet soul, as all the guys and the staff. It's devastating right now, and we're just hoping that he pulls through.
Yeah, we were able to see in the video the reaction of the teammates, and you could just see the concern on their faces.
They didn't know what to do. No one knew what to do, and I don't think anybody still does.
You're going to be talking about this. You'll be on the air in the morning drive. What's going to be your message to the community? How can the community rally around this team after something like this?
Well, it's kind of like what I just touched on. A lot of people might say, well, what can we do? There's nothing we can do. Just think about him, and if you believe what I believe, pray, please.
Okay. Eric Zane, the announcer for the Grand Rapids Drive, Morning Drive host on WBBL. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us. Heather.
Thanks, Leon. Yeah, the story hitting home for athletes and, of course, parents of athletes. So we brought in a cardiologist to give us some tips on what we can be doing to help avoid a cardiac arrest. Dr. Paul Singh is with West Michigan Cardiology. Thank you for taking the time to be with us.
Thank you.
So first of all, I just want to ask, why is it so common that we're always hearing, or I shouldn't say always, but we hear about this a lot with basketball players, heart problems?
It can happen in any sport, but basketball is very intense. The 40 minutes of back and forth running, and when you're running and exercising, and your heart needs more oxygen. And these athletes who are prone to get cardiac arrhythmias, and they can have cardiac arrhythmias because of increased demand, and they can have a cardiac arrest.
Right, so because it's so physically demanding running back and forth on the court, that's why more stress on the heart. Okay, and what about how to avoid a cardiac arrest? Is there anything that you can do?
Well, you can never avoid a cardiac arrest in an older person, but in younger athletes, if you know that they have a condition, something like hypertrophic cardiomyopathy or congenital anomalies, then you can tell them not to do non-contact sports.
So you need to get checked out by your doctor.
You need to have a history and physical done. In the history, you need to ask whether there's a family history of cardiac death. If there's a family history of cardiac death, then those athletes need to be screened even more carefully. All athletes should be screened carefully. History is very important. History of hypertension, high blood pressure, history of any heart murmur, history of cardiac death in the family, history of chest pain, excessive fatigue, excessive shortness of breath, post-exercise is very important. These athletes should report to somebody. And these young athletes, or all athletes from the middle to high school, they should be checked by some physician who understands cardiovascular disease.
Okay.
I was looking at a report that 76% of college athletes or the college physicians are orthopedic surgeons. We need to have physicians or cardiovascular experts to examine these patients so we can predetermine their cause.
Right, and even if you haven't been predetermined that there's, any history or any problems existing with your heart, you actually can look for symptoms, right?
Yes, you can look for symptoms. Symptoms are very important. Then the examination is important. There's something called Marfan syndrome. These are very tall athletes. Their aortas can dissect during exercise, or their mitral valves can rupture. So these athletes need to be screened before.
Okay.
So that's the only way.
And what are the symptoms to look out for, to take note of? Shortness of breath?
Shortness of breath, exertional chest pain, a passing out spell, shortness of breath, excessive fatigue, and family history of death, sudden death.
All right, all good things to look out for, all good tips. Thank you so much for taking the time. Obviously, important topic. And if you are looking for a free heart screening, Mercy Health offers screenings at no cost for local high school students. You can help these screenings can help identify pre-existing heart conditions that could increase the student's risk of complications during physical activity. The screenings are open to any high school student entering 9th to 12th grade. We have a link up right now at woodtv.com with dates and times. Now, the next one isn't for a couple of months, but still, it's something good to put on the calendar.